The Russian invaders attacked Nikolaev on Sunday evening with the help of Iranian kamikaze drones, 2 of which were shot down. Vitaly Kim, head of the Mykolaiv OVA, announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. -2 mopeds, Kim wrote, later adding that a third Iranian drone had also been shot down. He also specified that one of the kamikaze drones was shot down by a TPO mobile group. One of the 3 downed mopeds known to me was landed by our mobile group of troops. There will be guys with a bonus, said Kim. He also said that as a result of the attack, a fire broke out in the city, which has already been localized. At the same time, as reported by the Southern Operational Command on Facebook, in Nikolaev, 3 drones attacked industrial infrastructure and a pharmaceutical warehouse in the regional center. Rescuers are on the scene and firefighting continues. No previous victims. As Ukrinform reported, on the night of October 13th, Air Defense Forces shot down 6 enemy Shahed-136 kamikaze drones in southern Ukraine. The south of Ukraine on Sunday evening was again attacked by Iranian Shahed-136 kamikaze drones. 11 of them were shot down. The Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. In the south of Ukraine, another attack by Shahed-136 kamikaze drones. And once again, the impeccable work of our air defense, in particular, the anti-aircraft missile units of the Yug Aviation Command and units of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The Armed Forces of Ukraine are subordinate to them. Within an hour, from 21:30 to 22:30 on October 16, Air Force servicemen destroyed 9 Shahed-136 kamikaze drones. Units of the National Guard and the Territorial Defense Forces of Ukraine destroyed another Shahed. As Ukrinform reported, the Iranian authorities are preparing to transfer ballistic missiles to Russia, which are likely to be used by Russia in the war against Ukraine. In the Russian Federation, an internal audit showed that Russian weapons continue to depend on the import of components, and attempts to get rid of this dependence were unsuccessful. According to Ukrinform, this is reported by Bloomberg. In 2019, the Russian Federation introduced a program to reduce dependence on Western components until 2025. However, it is not executed. The import substitution program was created in 2014 after the first Russian invasion of Ukraine and detailed in 2019. At the same time, a 20-page audit conducted by the Russian Prosecutor General's office back in April 2021, covering 177,058 components used in 278 types of military equipment, considered the program a failure. In 2020 alone, Moscow hoped to replace 18,047 components covering 43 types of military equipment, but was only able to make 3,148 replacements across 5 items. European officials say that Russian equipment and the Russian armed forces in general are in for further degradation. Some of Russia's most advanced weapons are completely dependent on foreign components such as cruise missiles, Tu-22 bombers, submarines, the Nudal air defense system and anti-aircraft radars. So, in relation to the ZUR-14 TS-033 Nudal, the task was set to perform 1548 replacements, but it was completed by only 0.3%. Also, plans to replace components for the Nebo SVU-1L119 and Nebo UM-55ZH-6UM radar systems, the GT-01 Murmansk BN radar jamming system, nuclear submarines of the Yazan type and obsolete Class 971M submarines are not being implemented. Shark, Tu-22M3 bombers and Su-34 fighters, IL-96 aircraft, several types of missiles, including the 9M96 anti-aircraft guided missile, 22,350 class frigates, Buk M3 anti-aircraft missile systems, Ka-52K combat helicopters, for post-drones, etc. The audit showed that about 100 contracts concluded with Russian research institutes for the development of domestic components since the annexation of Crimea were disrupted. A shortage of modern weapons is forcing Russia to rely on Soviet-era weapons that are less accurate and reliable, US and European officials say. Accordingly, the Kremlin will not be able to continue the massive attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure that it carried out last week, despite Putin's threats. The situation in the South Buz direction remains tense and dynamic in development. The defense forces retain their positions and initiative in the conduct of hostilities. This was reported by the Operational Command South on Facebook, Ukrinform reports. The enemy continues active defense, preferring counter-battery combat. It inflicts fire damage on our positions using aviation, multiple launch rocket systems, heavy artillery and mortars, the message says. During the day, the enemy struck 5 times along the entire front line and adjacent settlements using attack aircraft and helicopters. The defense forces worked out 15 airstrikes against the enemy and 230 fire sorties against the areas of concentration of manpower and equipment at that time, strong points and air defense systems. At least 50 Rashists, 2 tanks, 3 MSTA-type large-caliber howitzers and Hyacinth-type guns, self-propelled artillery mounts, a mortar, a Tor anti-aircraft missile system, an electronic warfare station, and 3 armored vehicles were destroyed. The Grad multiple launch rocket system and 3 units of engineering and armored vehicles were damaged. The rest of the results are under study. As Ukrinform reported, the Russian invaders began the process of evacuating state institutions from Kherson to the temporarily occupied territory of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea. Russia keeps 6 ships in the Black Sea, including 2 launchers with 12-caliber missiles. This was reported by the Operational Command South on Facebook, Ukrinform reports. Moderate stormy weather continues in the Black Sea. The enemy ship grouping is unchanged, 6 ships, including 1 airborne assault ship, 2 surface missile carriers equipped with 12-gauge, the report says. As Ukrinform reported, southern Ukraine was again attacked by Iranian Shahed-136 kamikaze drones on Sunday evening. 11 of them were shot down. The explosion occurred in one of the districts of Kyiv. Several houses were damaged. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Explosion in the Shevchenkovsky district, in the center of the capital. All services are on the way. Details later. The air raid continues. Stay in cover, wrote Klitschko. He later reported another explosion. As a result of a drone attack in the Shevchenko district of Kyiv, a fire broke out in a non-residential building. Fire brigades are working. Several residential buildings have been damaged. Doctors are working on the spot. We are clarifying information about the victims, Klitschko said. Klitschko showed a fragment of one of the enemy kamikaze drones that attacked the capital this morning. The corresponding photo Klitschko published in his Telegram channel. As Ukrinform reported, First Deputy Interior Minister Yevgeny Yenin said that the employees of the State Emergency Service have no legal grounds to cut the locks off the shelters, so they will not do it. The enemy is trying to conduct offensive operations in the Bakhmut and Avdiivka directions. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced this in the morning report, Ukrinform reports. The enemy is trying to hold on to the temporarily occupied territories, is concentrating his efforts on attempts to contain the actions of the defense forces in certain directions, and at the same time is trying to conduct offensive operations in the Bakhmut and Avdiivka directions. The enemy fires at the positions of our troops on the entire front, provides engineering equipment for positions and defense lines in certain directions, and conducts aerial reconnaissance. Violation of the norms of international humanitarian law, laws and customs of warfare, strikes against critical facilities and residential buildings. Over the past 24 hours, the enemy launched 2 missile and 26 air strikes, fired more than 80 attacks from multiple launch rocket systems. The areas of more than 20 settlements were subjected to enemy strikes. In particular, Belopoli of the Sumy region, Slavyansk, Pavlovka and Novoselka of the Donetsk region, Monganets of the Dnipropetrovsk region, Pravdino and Belogorka of the Kherson region. The enemy attacked Nikolaev with 15 kamikaze drones. Our defenders shot down 11 of them. In the Volyn, Polsky and Seversk directions, the situation remains unchanged. The threat of missile and air strikes, as well as the use of Shahed-136 strike UAVs from the territory of the Republic of Belarus, remains. In other directions, the enemy fired. In the Slobozansky direction, from mortars, cannon and rocket artillery, in the areas of Veterinary, Vysoka Yaruga, Volchansk, Volchansky Kutter, Gaidish, Dvorokno, Zelino, Kazakya Lopan, Krasno and Ogortsovo settlements of the Kharkiv region. In the direction of Kramatorsk, from tanks, cannon and rocket artillery, in the areas of the settlements of Berestovo, Petropavlovka, Pervomaiskoye of the Kharkov region, Grakovka and Novohorovka in the Lugansk region, and Zarekno, Terny, Torsko and Yampolevka in the Donetsk region. In the Bakhmut direction, from tanks and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Andriivka, Bakhmut, Bakhmutsko, Belagorovka, Veselo, Poprosno, Soldar and Yakovlevka of the Donetsk region. In the Avdiivka direction, from tanks, cannon and rocket artillery, in the areas of the settlements of Berdichi, Vodian, Krasnogorovka, Mariinka, Nevelskoye, Novomykolovka and Pervomaiskoye of the Donetsk region. On the Novopavlovsk and Zaporozhye directions, the enemy did not conduct offensive operations. He fired from various types of artillery in the area of the settlements of Bogoyevlenka, Bolshaya Novoselka, Vladimirovka, Ugledar and Paraskovivka in the Donetsk region. In the Yuzhnobuz direction, more than 25 settlements along the collision line suffered from fire. In particular, Nikopol and Novokamenka in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Ternivy Poti, Partizanskoye, Shirokoye in the Nikoliv region and Mrnoye in the Kherson region. The occupiers are trying to make up for losses in manpower and massively mobilize men in the temporarily occupied territories. Thus, according to available information, in Stanitsia, Lugansk region, public utilities workers were forcibly registered under Russian law and passed the so-called medical examination. According to its results, all were fit for military service. The defeat of manpower, weapons and military equipment of the enemy over the previous day was confirmed. As a result of accurate strikes by the defense forces, the enemy suffered the following losses in the areas of settlements in the Zaporozhye region: Molokansk, up to 40 wounded, Polozhi, about 7 units of military equipment and up to 30 wounded. The information is being specified. Over the past 24 hours, units of the defense forces repulsed the attacks of the invaders in the areas of the settlements of Torskoy, Spurno, Soldar, Bakhmut, Maersk, Vodian, Krasnogorovka, Mariinka and Novomykolovka of the Donetsk region. Aviation of the defense forces has dealt more than 30 strikes over the past day. The defeat of 25 areas of concentration of weapons and military equipment, as well as 6 positions of enemy anti-aircraft missile systems was confirmed. Also, our air defense units shot down 15 enemy UAVs. Over the past 24 hours, rocket troops and artillery attacked 2 command posts, 1 air defense position and 1 ammunition depot.